The demigods have lost their power, their opulence, everything, just because of the pride of Indra, because of the disrespect that Indra showed to his spiritual master, Brihaspati. And having lost everything, the demigods really wanted their kingdom back. And therefore, on the advice of Lord Brahma, they requested Vishwarup to act as their spiritual master, their priest, so that they can reclaim their their kingdom, their lost kingdom. And in order to somehow make sure that Vishwarup accepts their proposal, the demigods, Indra particularly, heading the demigods, he he spoke in such a way that Vishwarup cannot refuse. He pointed out that indeed the demigods are senior in terms of age, but that should not stop him from giving the necessary support for chanting the Vedic mantras. And they pointed out that actually it's perfectly fine to have someone junior by age perform these kind of sacrifices accompanied with Vedic mantras, because after all, you are qualified because of the austerities that you have performed. And after these kind of convincing arguments that were presented by the demigods headed by Indra, Vishwarup accepts. Vishwarup responds in this way, that although the acceptance of priesthood is decried as causing the loss of previously acquired Brahminical power, how can someone like me refuse to accept your personal request? In this way, Vishwarup felt compelled by the speech of the demigods. You're all exalted commanders of the entire universe. So this also kind of this line also defines the job description of the demigods. Because oftentimes there is this confusion about who is God. There are 330 million entities managing the universes. So are they all at the same level? So usually the demigods are considered to be the cosmic managers. They are in charge of certain properties of matter within the universe. And therefore, they are referred to as the exalted commanders of the entire universe. But that doesn't make them as the supreme personality of Godhead. So there is always going to be a distinction between the supreme lord of everything, the Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, and those who are under the lead of the supreme lord, playing the role of being the commander of different parts of the universe. So their position is like that. So you are all exalted commanders of the entire universe. And then Vishwarup says that I am your disciple and must take many lessons from you. Therefore, I cannot refuse you. It's a very interesting way of putting it. Although he's taking the position of a spiritual master, so to speak, to preside over that sacrifice, but he's saying, I am your disciple, and therefore I am actually obeying your command. I cannot refuse you. I must agree for my own benefit. This is called culture. Like in every possible way, every single player in the Vedic civilization, they maintain their strong mood of service. And that's what we see in every exalted personality that we come across in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Vishwarup is hinting at a tendency that Brahman priests have that he is planning to avoid. And what is that? A Brahmana who desires to achieve happiness by gaining wealth through professional priesthood must certainly have a very low mind. How shall I accept such priesthood? In other words, the Brahmanas are meant to operate at a very selfless level. It's not that, okay, you pay some money and therefore I perform some sacrifice for you, but it's more coming from their own well wishing heart to do well for others. That's why the word purohit, right? We are going to come across the meaning of that word purohit shortly. Um, Purohit, which means one who acts for the welfare of others. So, after noting the charitable nature that the position of priesthood implies, and decrying those who perform such kind of services for financial gain, Vishwarup then accepts the request of the demigod like this: that all of you are my superiors. Therefore, although accepting priesthood is sometimes reproachable, I cannot refuse even a small request from you. So I agree to be your priest. I shall fulfill your request by dedicating my life and possessions. And then Shukadev Goswami points out that after making this promise to the demigods, the exalted Vishwarup, surrounded by the demigods, performed the necessary priestly activities with great enthusiasm and attention. The word that is used there in that verse for enthusiasm and attention is samadhina. Samadhina, we have come across this word samadhi, which means absorption. And here, um, the specific phrase is with great enthusiasm and attention. So, in the purport to 38th verse, this sincere and selfless spirit with which Vishwarup is going to perform the sacrifices for the demigods is brought out more vividly. The word samadhina is very important. Samadhi means complete absorption with an undiverted mind. Vishwarup, who was a most learned Brahmana, not only accepted the request of the demigods but took their request seriously and performed the activities of priesthood with an undiverted mind. And this is what we have to learn from these exalted personalities. Whatever occupational engagements we have in our own life, we should also likewise bring this kind of seriousness, sincerity, and attention, with the idea that I'm dedicating my life for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, and therefore, whatever I do, it should be done with a sense of responsibility and excellence. If we can incorporate these kind of qualities in our own life, you will see that we will naturally sort of produce a spiritual outcome, even out of the so-called material activities. So it's no longer going to be within the material jurisdiction because our consciousness is at an evolved level. So Prabhupada continues, in other words, he accepted the priesthood not for material gain, but to profit the demigods. And this is the key point. Such is the duty of a priest. The word puraha means family and hita means benefit. Thus, the word purohit indicates that the priest is the well-wisher of the family. Another meaning of the word puraha is first. A priest's first duty is to see that his disciples benefit spiritually and materially by all means. Thus, he is satisfied. Where can we find such a purohit in today's world? It's very hard to find because many times the priests are motivated by the financial prospects. So, therefore, we should try to find those kind of priests who are also devotionally engaged because they will be a little more selflessly engaged in that performance of sacrifice than those who are just doing it for their own living. That's one lesson that we are learning here. A priest's first duty is to see that his disciples benefit spiritually and materially by all means. Then he is satisfied. A priest should never be interested in performing Vedic rituals for his personal benefit. And then what Vishwarup did for the benefit of the demigods, he created an armor which is made of Vishnu mantras, specifically made for Indra. And that is what is referred to as Narayan Kavach. So Kavach means armor. And that armor is made of Narayan mantras. And we are going to hear the details of the Narayan Kavach shield in the next chapter. And this Narayan Kavach is basically going to protect the demigods and help them retain the plundered opulence from the demons, or get the kingdom as well as all the opulence back from the demons. So in purport number 39, he gives a little bit of idea about the conflict that exists between the demigods and the demons. So he concludes the word Sura Dvisham, which in this verse means of the enemies of the demigods, also refers to the atheists. The Supreme Personality of Godhead always awards his benediction to devotees. The Lord himself confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita 9.31. Kaunteya, Kaunteya Pratijanehi, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So this is Krishna's promise in the Bhagavad Gita. And also we know from the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya samavami yuge yuge. That the goal of Krishna's appearance is to protect the devotees and to annihilate the demons. And in this way reinstate the principles of religion. So here we find also how the Supreme Lord is always on the side of the demigods, because they are considered to be devotees, may not be pure devotees, but mixed devotees. But still, they are sort of aligned with the interest of the Supreme Lord. They are the order carriers of the Supreme Lord, and therefore they are being favored by the Supreme Lord. Favored in the sense that Supreme Lord is reciprocating with whatever they want. But this storyline has a lot of twists, so we're going to see it's not as straightforward as we just heard. Next chapter is going to be a wonderful description of the Narayan Kavach shield, and we'll go into the detail of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.